Welcome to the Teams That Swear podcast. I'm Adrian Balarjan, author of Teams That Swear by Each Other, Not About Each Other. I believe the strength of any organization comes down to one thing: how well its people work together, and especially how their leadership team works as a group. Now, if you're looking for genuine strategies that actually work, you've come to the right place. This podcast is about cutting through the noise, getting to the heart of what makes teams tick, and giving you tools that you can use today. A few weeks ago, a team member who participated in the Teams That Swear Foundation workshop shared something with me that all leaders need to consider. Now, for the sake of the story, let's call this team member Rachel. Rachel told me, Adrian, before you started working with us, we had a cultural issue, but Dwayne, we're going to call Dwayne the leader, he didn't seem to notice. Something had to be done because things weren't good. Now, I need to be clear that Rachel wasn't angry or resentful of her leader. She was quite the opposite. She was very understanding. Dwayne was an authentic, down-to-earth, caring leader and extremely passionate about ensuring that the team worked well together. He would have been horrified to know that there was a culture clash. The drop in team morale wasn't due to Dwayne having his head stuck in the sand. There was a lot on his plate. Stress levels had been high over a prolonged period of time. Now, when Dwayne reached out to me, he knew something was off. He sensed something wasn't quite right. He could feel the bad energy. Now, this was confirmed when Rachel shared that team huddles, they just felt flat and gossip was starting to rear its ugly head. Rachel's thoughts confirmed Dwayne's gut instinct. So he took action. He brought me in and together the team regrouped. They intentionally implemented the right activities to help the team shine again. And boy, oh boy, shine they did. So, what's the lesson and the one question all leaders need to ask themselves? Well, the lesson is, when working in teams, complacency is costly. If there's hidden issues, they will fester, but not for long. And when they come up, it's ugly. Now, the question that all leaders should be asking themselves is, how do I know if my team is working well together or if there are issues? Now, the reality is leaders don't get complacent on purpose. Competing priorities, excessive expectations, and consistently high levels of stress can prevent even the best leaders from losing their way for a bit. Now, when this happens, focusing on transactional rather than relational tasks is quite easy. The reality is that when it comes to teams succeeding, relationships matter most. Relationships drive transformational change, and they also make work fun. Now, what can you do to get back on track if you find yourself in Rachel or Dwayne's situation? Let's put ourselves in Rachel's shoes. If you're a team member like Rachel and you know things aren't quite right with the team, what can you do if the energy doesn't feel right? What can you do if gossip is taking over and the team is slowly sinking? Not that this was the case, but this is even harder to manage if your leader isn't as open, caring, and also if your leader doesn't really care about team dynamics, which was the complete opposite of the way Dwayne worked. Now, one option for you as the team member is to share your concerns with your boss. You can do so without telling or feeling like a tattletale. Could sound like this. Hey, Dwayne, I think it would be good for you to check in with the team about how they're feeling and about how we work together. That's all you need to say. If Dwayne wants to know more, you can simply provide more detail or just reiterate, Dwayne, I'm just going to suggest it's worth checking in with the group. Now, if you're not 100% comfortable with that, maybe there's another team member who is more confident to have that discussion. Approach them, get their thoughts. Perhaps they can bring it up with the leader, or perhaps the two of you can do it together. Now, the reality is when you say nothing, nothing will change. And you've got to live with those consequences. Now, if you do something and nothing changes, maybe it's worth reiterating your concerns. Think about what you can do to change the situation. How can you lead if this is the case in terms of your own behavior? Now, if nothing changes after, let's say, 6 months and the problem hasn't improved, you may have to have a challenging conversation with yourself and your leader about whether this is the best place for you. Now, what if you're in the shoes of Dwayne? You're a leader, but things you just sense they're not quite right. Here's what you do. Trust that feeling. Write down what you think is going well and what could be better. You can also look at completing a team assessment. There's paid or free options. The Team That Swear Team Dynamics Assessment is a free one, easy to do, and it can help cover your bases. Once your thoughts are validated, or maybe they're challenged, you can explore with the team to see what they think. Now, discussing this one-on-one as a team will give you the best insight and gain the highest buy-in from the others to improve things. Now, there are 3 ways to help talk about improving teamwork in the workplace. I'm going to share those 3 and the pros and cons. Now, the first one is to facilitate the discussion yourself, one-on-one and with the team. You can bring it up with your crew in a way that makes them feel safe. Before your next team meeting, drop them an email or a note. Something as simple as, "Hey everyone, it's been a while since we've spoken about how well we do teamwork. I'd love to get your thoughts on what's going well and what we could do better. Have a think before our next one-on-one, and I'd love to hear your thoughts." Now, when you have the one-on-one, kick off the meeting with these 2 questions. Hey, what do you think we do well as a team? And what do you think we could do better? Your goal is to extract as much information as you can. Get curious. So open-ended questions like, "Tell me more about that," or "What else?" will give you absolute gold. Now, wrap up that conversation by asking for their thoughts on the solution. And that could sound something as simple as, "Now, what do you think we need to do differently to do better as a team?" Now, once you've met with everybody, you've collated all your research into themes, share it with them at the beginning of the next team meeting. Ask the team what they think the team could do differently moving forward. Agree on maybe 2 actions. Cap it at that to start with and see what impact those actions have. Now, the pros of doing it yourself. Now, if all team members are honest with you, you'll really understand the issues deeply. If you're a good listener, the team will feel heard and they'll respect you for hearing them out. Now, the follow-up discussion, that's critical. If it's facilitated well, you should get high levels of buy-in moving forward, as the solutions that were put together and agreed to were actually done by the team. Now, the cons of doing it yourself is that it takes more time and effort. The information that you get might only be a partial picture. If your relationships with everyone aren't that strong, they might not feel 100% comfortable in being totally honest with you. The other thing to think about is that strong personalities in the team may override the quieter ones, right? If you've got introverted team members who have a lot of value to add, they may not feel comfortable because the stronger personalities will take over. It can be tricky for a leader to tell those people to talk less and also to get the quieter ones to talk more. Now, the second way that you can facilitate the conversation amongst the team is gather feedback through a survey. You can create an anonymous one with a list of questions you'd like them to respond to, and you can send it to the team. Now, be sure to include some context as to why you want them to fill out the survey. Otherwise, the group might get suspicious, wondering what's going on, which is going to only fuel the gossip further. Now, when you get the results, review them. Cluster them into themes and share your findings with the group. Ask them what they think the team could do differently moving forward. And again, agree on 2 actions and experiment. See what the impact of those commitments will have on the team. Now, the pros of doing a survey is that team members maybe feel more comfortable in sharing their true feelings if their responses are anonymous. If the follow-up discussion is facilitated well, you should get high levels of buy-in moving forward. Again, because the solutions were put together by the group and a team and agreed by the team. Now, the cons of doing a survey takes more of your time and effort to develop the survey, gather responses, and facilitate the discussion. The other thing you need to think about is that your interpretation of the written words may not capture the intent of the responses. Research has proven that teams that are primarily reliant on written communication formats, that they perform the worst. The other thing to think about is that some team members may feel that they're going to know who said this, so I'm not going to share what I really feel. Now, a third way to facilitate some discussion amongst a team about how they do teamwork is obviously you can use somebody else to facilitate discussion and get a professional. Now, if you've got access to an internal team performance facilitator, right, check with your HR department. See what they can offer and how they could help. Now, if you've got a high level of trust in them, they can be a great resource and it doesn't cost you anything. You also need to think about any internal politics, right? You have to be concerned with that in terms of who's facilitating the discussion, or do they have the capacity? If they don't, or there's some concerns, you can bring in an outside expert. Now, full disclosure, I am a team performance specialist, and I'm very good at getting teams to open up, get excited about challenges, and work together. But regardless of who you choose, a great facilitator will allow you to participate, make you feel like you can participate, and it also makes everyone feel like they're on an even playing field, and that should get you a clear pathway of what's next. To ensure you get the best return on investment that you desire, you could use these questions to help to determine whether a facilitator is a good fit for your situation or not. Ask them what common challenges they're seeing across teams. Do these align with what you're facing? Evaluate the process that they undertake with you in your introduction call to really understand what you're talking about. That can often indicate how well they'll work with your team. The other thing you need to consider when working with an external facilitator is trust. Trust needs to be built quickly amongst your team members and the facilitator. Ask them how they build trust with the group to ensure that you quickly reach the root challenges. The other thing I would suggest doing is see what they offer to help you make sure that they're the right fit for you. Case studies, white papers, books, or the chance to speak with a past client are really good ways to validate whether they're the right facilitator for you. Now, the pros of using a facilitator is that facilitators should be experts in creating a safe environment, summarizing actions, and next steps. This is to make your job much more manageable and create a high level of team alignment. Facilitators should free up your time, and you don't have to put a lot of effort into getting ready. The other benefit is that you get to be a participant, which goes a long way with your team if you want the team to buy into new ways of working. Now, the cons of using a facilitator, you need to think about a budget, right? So that might require you to reprioritize of where your funds were originally planned to be invested in. Something to think about, too, is what you want out of that workshop. A one-day workshop won't fix the problem alone. It might give a spark, but after the workshop, there needs to be a genuine commitment to continue the work after the workshop. The other thing you need to think about are your team members. If a team member is toxic, you may be better off by getting an executive coach to change their behavior, or you as the leader might have to pull off the Band-Aid and begin performance management issues. Now, whatever option you choose, the key is to be intentional and deliberate with your actions to improve your team's dynamics. When you do, the dividends will be plenty, leaving you free to focus on growing your business, your people, and just as importantly, yourself. Now that brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks for joining me on Teams That Swear. Now, if today's conversation sparked a thought, a question, or a new perspective, subscribe so you don't miss what's next. And if you're ready to transform how your team works together, reach out. I'd love to help. Because teams that swear by each other and not about each other do not happen by chance. They happen with intentional, deliberate action, and the first step starts with you.